I'm Nate Hogan. In this video, we are going to talk about how to recreate your self-image, because your self-image is what controls your life and controls your outcomes in life. Because if you see yourself as someone who's abundant, prosperous, happy, healthy, wealthy, that is the life you're going to live. But if you see yourself as someone who doesn't have enough, who bad things happen to, if that's the mindset you have, that is the life you are going to live. So I'm going to show you exactly what your self-image is, how you can reprogram it, and allow that to create the life that you desire, because your self-image determines what life you live. So first things first, let's get into it. Your self-image sets your limits. You will never outperform your self-image. Like I was saying earlier, it's kind of like a thermostat. You might have it set at 65. If it gets up to 67, it'll kick on and it'll bring it back to 65. And if it gets to 63, it'll bring it back up to 65. It'll vary from the path, but it will always go back to the main temperature, which is your self-image. That is the image you hold of yourself. So that's why it's so important that you set your self-image on where you want to be as the person you want to be, because if not, you're going to stay in the same spot your whole life, and many people do. So that's why I'm here to help you grow in all areas of your life. I know I talk about money most of the time in this because it's just an example that it's easy to talk about, everyone can relate to, but all of my ideas, all of my philosophies all apply to everything in life, all areas, not just money, not just finances, not just business. But that's the way I like to talk about it, because I know that if I help you guys relate this in a business aspect, you'll be able to make more money. Everyone lives a better life if, I help you, you help me. So you can try working more, you can run more ads, you can buy mentorships, you can learn new skills, you can start new businesses, you can do all these things. But ultimately you'll realize that you always end up in the same spot, right? That's why there's people who try 100 different businesses, but it seems like none of them work for them, or it's just not for me, right? It's because they still see themselves as their old person. If you start a new business, right? For me, I do auto detailing, but I'm also doing multiple other businesses now. So if I still saw myself just as a detailer, I would always just resort back to that. But it's quite the opposite now. Now it's coming to the point where I don't see myself as a detailer. I see myself doing these other things, and I'm going to streamline that so that it's automated, and I'm going to be just a business owner, not a manual labor person. So this is why it's so important to change your self-image to be who you want to be, right? Says I don't see myself anymore as a mobile detailer. I see myself as someone who makes money online. I see myself as a swing trader. I see myself as all these things, and that's my reality now. And so you're gonna have a period where you're transitioning from your old life to your new life, and so it might be a little awkward. It'll feel like you're living two lives, but ultimately you'll get to where your self-image is. So you'll always be limited by your self-image. It's just a fact. You can't fight it. There's nothing else you can do about it. But change it. So this is why we must change our self-image if you want to achieve new levels of success. If you want to grow, you have to grow in your mind, not physically. You will grow physically, your actions will change, but first it starts in the mind, and then it will come to the physical world. Like I said in my other videos, we are first spiritual beings before we are physical beings. So everything happens in your mind before it happens physically. So you need to remember that whenever you're trying to make changes in your life, it first has to take place in your mind, and then it will take place. And there is a gestation period. It's not going to be instant. So many people, you try a new thing one time, you have this idea, I want to make a bunch of money, or I want to get a bunch of followers, and you post, a couple of videos, and you're like, why isn't it working? Because you're just now planting those seeds in your mind, and it's going to take time. You're going to have to water the crop over and over and over. Eventually, you're going to get the success that you desire, as long as you see yourself as a successful person. So next up, we got our brain operates the way a thermostat does, just like I was saying earlier. And so your goal, your self-image, your dream life, that is your set temperature. And so we're going to talk about how to change your set temperature to be the life that you desire. Because if you don't have an image of the exact life you want to live, then you're always going to resort back to your old ways, right? And another example that a lot of people use when talking about this subject is weight, right? If you see yourself as someone who's overweight, if you see yourself as someone who's underweight, if you see yourself as someone who's fit, the way you see yourself is going to determine your results. Because I was saying in my other videos, your thoughts, your ideas control your vibration, which controls your actions. So if you see yourself as someone who's overweight, it's going to put you on that frequency, and it is going to cause you to do things that line up with your self-image, which is going to be overeating. It's going to give you the urge to want to eat, the urge to do this, the urge to do that. So everything, literally everything, health, wealth, friendships, relationships, everything is all about your mind, how you see them. Because ultimately your life is a reflection of your own thoughts. So if you see someone, this is kind of crazy, it blows my mind, but it's true. The way you see somebody affects the way they see you. And no one understands this connection because obviously you don't talk about the way you see people and the way, that's not really a common conversation. But if you see someone as someone who's, helpful, who's kind, who's giving, who's caring, they are going to act that way toward you all the time. And if you see someone as, obnoxious or annoying or, negative, they are going to see you that way and they're going to act that way towards you. So ultimately, you create your reality based off the way you see everyone. That's why, you're supposed to treat others how you want to be treated, and you shouldn't think about others negatively. You shouldn't gossip because that is what you are bringing onto yourself. Kind of a little tangent there, but it's true, and that's kind of the behavioral side of it. And then here we go. 95% of your behavior is habitual. 95%. So 95% of the time, you are not thinking. You are not consciously thinking about what you are doing. You might think you're thinking, right? So an example is when you get up in the morning, you don't think, oh, should I get dressed today, right? That's not something you think. You just get up and you get dressed. That's just how it works. That is how 95% of your life is. You aren't thinking, you're just doing it, right? When you go to get in the car, you don't think, should I unlock my car today? You just unlock it, right? It's just a habit. It's just the way you work. So this is 95% of your life. So if you're 95% of habitual behavior is not lining up with the life you want to live, you're never going to get there. You could try to fight it all you want. You could try to take these little actions, but you're ultimately only going to get as far as your mind can take you. And your mind can only take you where your habits are, right? So if your habitual behavior is in your subconscious mind, that is the lower part of your mind in the diagram that I've been showing. So if your new ideas aren't in that part, the bottom part of your mind, you're never going to become that, right? You have to get the new ideas in the conscious mind. You have to get emotionally involved in it. That puts it into your subconscious mind, and then ultimately that changes your vibration, which changes your results. I'll get into that in a minute, but this is why it's so important to bring a positive self-image. Not just positive, but because that just sounds like, be kind, be nice. No, you have to see yourself as the person you want to be. And so step one, you got to figure out who you want to be. So I'm going to get into that. I'm going to give you step by step on how to put this into application. I'm not just going to here to teach you. I want to teach you, obviously, but I also want you guys to be able to apply this and change your life because it's changing mine. All right, so you can't fight these habits by changing your actions, right? You can't start with the actions and expect that to change your mind, and then, it doesn't work that way. You have to start in your mind. You have to decide on what you want, get emotionally involved with that, make that your reality, feel like that is your reality, and then that will change your actions based on your vibrations and your frequencies. Everything works on frequencies, everything. That is why it is so important, and I know it sounds weird. It probably goes right over most people's head because it's just like, well, what does that even mean? I have a video on law of attraction and vibrations and frequencies. I posted that yesterday, I believe. So make sure to check that out if you haven't. But that is ultimately how everything works. So you have to reprogram your mind. You must reprogram your mind. You cannot have the same mind and expect new results. Your results are a reflection of your thoughts. So if you're not thinking new thoughts, if you're not changing the way you think, you're going to get the same exact results you've been getting. And odds are, if you're watching this video, you're not happy with your results. So trust me. If your way is not working, just try mine, 30 days, see what happens. If you don't like it, go back to your old ways. That doesn't work. Doesn't offend me. But so everything starts in the mind. And if you reprogram your mind to see yourself as the person you want to be, you will become that person. That will be the life that you are living. You will naturally take the actions that align with the new self-image you have created. And then this is the best example. The stick figure, but this is so important. I studied this for months, and I never really was able to comprehend the importance of this, but it is extremely important that you understand because this is ultimately what determines your whole entire life. This is what controls everything. So you have to start with the results. So the bottom part is the bottom half of the mind. That is where your thoughts stir emotions. That is your subconscious mind. And the top part, the results cause thoughts. That is your conscious mind. So the top part is the thoughts that you consciously think, right? So if you're like, I want to do this today, you're consciously thinking that, right? It's not like it's your actual self thinking that, not your habits. So if your new self-image and the new person you want to become is only in that part of your mind, if it is only on the surface level, right? If it's only in your conscious mind, it will not change any of your life, ever. Nothing that enters your conscious mind will ever change your actions. It just doesn't work that way. You have to get emotionally involved. And so that is why you have to get this self-image. Just think about it this way. If your self-image, your new self-image of who you want to be is in your subconscious mind, right? Your subconscious mind is your habits. 95% of your habits, 95% of your life is habitual. So that would mean that if your new self-image is in your habitual behaviors, that means 95% of your life, at least, would be moving you in the right direction. If it's not in there, right, if it's not in your subconscious mind, if it's only in your conscious mind, if you've just kind of thought about it a little bit, the most you can possibly move in that direction is 5% a day, which is not going to happen. All of your conscious thoughts are not going to be positive ones. They're not all going to be ones going toward your goal. So you have to realize that the importance of getting these ideas of your self-image into your mind, because if not, you're never going to win the battle. You're always going to go back to your old ways because, I mean, obviously you can see the numbers, 95% versus 5%. If you only have 5% working for you, it's not going to go well. If you have 95% working for you plus, things are going to move faster than you could ever imagine. So that's why we have to start with the results. You got to figure out the life you want to live. You want to see yourself living this life. You want to figure out how do you want to see yourself, right? Right now, you may not see yourself. You may not be the person that you want to be. You probably aren't. You shouldn't be, because if you're satisfied, that's never a good thing. You should be happy, but never satisfied. You should always be dissatisfied. So your results, you want to pick, what is your ideal body weight? What do you want to look like? Where do you want to live? How much do you want to make? What do you want to do for a living? How are you going to help other people? What vacations do you want to go on? Things like this. You want to think about, what relationship do you want to have with your family? What friends do you want to have? You need to think about every area of your life, because money isn't everything. Everybody knows that. And if you only focus on money, if you're only putting money into your subconscious mind, you'll get the money, but you will have nothing else, because you get what you give. So if you are giving your mind just money thoughts, that's it. That's all you're going to get. You're going to get your money. You can have your millions. It gives you what you ask for. But you have to be careful, because you won't have anything else. So, and when I say it, I'm talking about God. Everything's God, right? In my opinion, God is the source of everything. So everything you get is from God. Everything you give, everything, God created everything. So everything you have is from God. Yeah, He didn't directly put it in your lap. It's all from God, though, right? The elements that God put on the earth to make this mug are what allow me to have this mug. The dinner on your table, yes, God did not physically get hands and put that on your table, but He created everything that needed to be created for that to come to you, right? So you have to understand that everything comes from an infinite source, which is God. God is infinite. Anything can happen with God. So everything's coming from an infinite source. So when you sit down and you think about what do you truly want, you need to realize that everything comes from an infinite source, right? Everything is abundant. This world is abundant. There's trees everywhere, grass everywhere, plants everywhere, birds everywhere, sunlight all the time, right? Plenty of rain. Everything's perfect. So what makes you think that you can't live the same way? What makes you think that you can't have the income that you desire? What makes you think you can't travel on the vacations you want to travel on? It's all your mind. It's all your mind, because you set your own limits through your self-image. So you need to sit down and realize, okay, everything comes from an infinite source. So anything is possible. You can have anything you want. You can do anything you want. You can live any life you want to live. So if I told you that, now what would you write on this paper, right? What would you write down right now if I told you that anything was possible? You could live any life you want to live. What would you write? Because that is what you really need to focus on, because that is the truth. It sounds crazy. It sounds like I'm talking about rainbows and unicorns. This is facts, right? You can live any life you want to live. You see people living their dream life. You're like, oh, what I would do to live that life. Oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could travel like they travel. I wish I could have as much money as they had. I wish I could have the family they have. You can. But your mind isn't allowing you to. And that's why this is so important. So this is a step-by-step on how to change your self-image. I kind of went over this already, but step one, you need to sit down and decide on the exact life you want to live. You need to be as specific as possible. Remember, this is setting your new temperature, like the thermostat. Whatever image you are creating of your new self, that is going to be your cruise control. That is going to be your set temp. So your whole life is going to go around this. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have good days. I'm not saying everything's great, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm not preaching a fantasy here. But you need to set the image on what you truly want, because that is what you are going to get. And like I was saying, everything comes from an infinite source. So you can live any life you want to live. So set that temperature on what you truly want. I don't care what's realistic. I don't care what, based off what happened yesterday and how much money you made yesterday. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Nothing matters except for what you want. And you have to decide, make a decision. So once you have this, this takes time. I recommend thinking about it for weeks. Like, write it down every day. Think about it. What do you want to change? All right, I think I want to live here. Go visit that place. If you don't want to live there, change it. You want to fine tune this. Like right now, I know exactly everything. I know where I want to live, how much I want to make, what I want to do with my free time, what I want to do to make the money, how I'm going to help people, the family I want to have, the friends I want to have, the relationships I want to have. I know every single detail of my future life. And so now my whole life is transforming to go around this new idea of myself. So then I recommend you rewrite your desired life every day as much as you can, preferably morning and night, right when you wake up and right before you go to sleep. So you want to be thinking about this when you go to sleep. You want to be thinking about it when you wake up. Because now, if you do it first thing in the morning, you're going to be thinking about it all day. And when you do it right before sleep, you're probably going to be thinking about it in your sleep. Obviously, you're not consciously thinking, but you will be thinking about it while you sleep. So if you're thinking about for 8 hours at night when you're sleeping, if you're thinking toward your goal, think about how much you're going to be ahead versus someone who isn't thinking about their goal as they drift off to sleep. So you want to be rewriting this as much as possible, because repetition is how you're going to get this into your subconscious mind. This is how you're going to get it ingrained in your mind. Is the more you go over it, the more you think about it, the more you talk about it, the more you write about it, the more repetition you have, the more it is going to ingrain in your mind and build new brain cells. So step 3, you want to see yourself as this person. If you can't see yourself as the person you want to be, you will never be that person, right? If people say, I can never imagine having that much money, you're never going to have that much money because you can't even imagine it. The second you can imagine it, the second you can see yourself as that person, you can see yourself having that much money, it's already moving into form. It's already becoming a reality. Now you're going to have to take action. You're going to have to do things. All the ideas will come to you on how to get it. Now, if you take action on those ideas, is up to you. I'm not saying you're going to see yourself with millions of dollars, you're going to wake up tomorrow and have millions. That is not at all what I'm saying. But I guarantee you, if you get into your mind that you are a millionaire, you are going to get the steps you need to get there. It's just a matter of if you take the steps or not. So you want to see yourself, driving that new car, having the bigger bank account, traveling, whatever it is. You want to see yourself doing that as much as you can, because the more you see yourself living that life, the more dissatisfied you will be with your current life, and the more you will be in a creative state. Dissatisfaction is one of the best creative states. You'll be in a very creative state on how to change your situation, and that is when you will get these golden ideas, I like to call, where it really can change your life just off one idea. Like Napoleon Hill says in Think and Grow Rich, it only takes one idea to completely change your life. And then step 4, the more you think about this, the more you think about this life and see yourself living that way, you are building brain cells. So I don't want to go into this too deep because we're already a pretty lengthy video, but the more you think about something, the more brain cells you are building, the more cells of recognition you have. So if you're constantly thinking about something, you are building more and more brain cells by the thousands per second. I think it's like 50,000 cells per second. You are building of the image that you want, right? So if someone says, what life do you want to live? Bam, right now I can flash the whole entire life. And the more you think about it, the more in depth you get, the more brain cells you're going to have. And like I said in my other videos, your thoughts become your reality. Your thoughts, what you think about is what you become. Everybody can agree upon that. And then step 5, the more you think about the life you desire, it will slowly replace the old image of yourself, and you will move in that direction. You will feel pulled to take steps to go in that direction. You will face the terror barrier. I'm going to go in that in a second, but follow these steps. If you need any help, please DM me on Instagram. I want to help as many people as possible. My Instagram is in the description. It's at Nate Hogue, 2 E's and 2 G's. And like I said, this is not easy. I'm not saying you're going to spawn money in your bank account. You're not going to wake up and be rich. It's not how it's going to work, but it starts in the mind. So you're going to have to live in a fantasy for a while, but it will come to your reality. It takes a lot of time. You're planting these seeds. It's just like real seeds. You're going to plant them, and over time you are going to be able to harvest your crop. So you can't plant the seeds and then go tomorrow, dig them up, and say, why is this not growing? That's not how it's going to work. You got to plant it, and you have to. So the best example I give is when you are writing down your dream life, you are initially planting the seeds. And then every time you think about it, every time you write it, you are watering those plants, you're watering those seeds, and then eventually it will sprout and you will get to harvest your new life. Because the physical world and the spiritual world both work by the same laws. So the same way you would, plant a seed and then eventually harvest the crop is the same way you'll plant a new idea in your mind and eventually live that life. Once this new image of yourself is in your subconscious mind, things will move extremely quick. You will be naturally pulled to take actions that you've never done before, and you must take these actions. you will face a terror barrier. I'm going to go into this. This is my next video. It will be on the terror barrier. But basically, as you are living this new life, as you are entering new situations, as you are becoming a new person, your body doesn't know what's going on. Your body doesn't, you're not in a familiar state. So you are going to face a terror barrier. You're going to feel nervous. You're going to feel anxious. You're going to, you're going to be freaking out and be like, is this the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Why do I feel this way? But you have to understand that as part of the process. If you are not facing a terror barrier, if you do not feel anxious, if you do not feel nervous, you are going sideways, you are not growing. So you have to understand that this is part of the process, and you have to understand you're going to have to break through this. This is where everybody fails. This is where everyone goes back to their old ways. So when you face a terror barrier, when you start feeling anxious, you just have to understand this is, this is because you are growing, and you need to just continue on with the actions as long as they are moving you toward your goal. You need to ask yourself, is this moving me toward my goal? If the answer is yes, take that action. So, like I said, in my other videos, I'm posting a video every day this month. We're on day 4. I will be posting 31 videos this month, and we're going to see how it goes. If you have any video requests, leave it in the comments below. I'm here to help you guys as much as possible. I spend a lot of time studying this stuff, and I just want to help as many people as I can with my information. Make sure to subscribe and like the video, and we'll be back tomorrow with a video on the terror barrier.